To me, the brilliance of Sonic Adventure 2 is not that it tells the same story on two separate accounts, but also the two independent stories converge at the end to tell one giant tale. The individual stories on their own are pretty fantastic in my opinion, but when they come together and tell one giant story, it really hits home, especially when we get to the last part of the game, where Super Sonic and Super Shadow join forces to take down this giant behemoth of a monster, Final Hazard, and save the entire world. This game also doesn't really have an all's well that ends well kind of tale, as one of the main characters of it actually ends up dying at the end. Shadow's sacrifice was for the greater good, so him dying in the end to save humanity is truly poetic, as he was the character who initially set out to destroy it in the first place. From a narrative perspective, Shadow dying here actually makes a ton of sense, but that's not what ended up happening. He later appeared once again in the game Sonic Heroes right after Sonic Adventure 2, and his survival after defeating Final Hazard was explained at the end of Shadow the Hedgehog. So that leads me to the question in today's video: should Shadow the Hedgehog have stayed dead? As always, if you guys like content like this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video, and let me know in the comment section down below that you enjoyed it. Anyway, let's get into it. So, allow me to explain the framework for how this video is going to go. If you've seen my Does Sonic Love Amy video, or if you've seen my Does Peach Love Mario video, you'll know that I like to explain the two schools of thought presented in each video. And here with this Shadow the Hedgehog video, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to defend both sides and come to an ultimate conclusion at the end of the video that'll be purely my opinion. And of course, if you disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. That's what they're for. So firstly, I want to explain the idea that Shadow the Hedgehog should have stayed dead at the end of Sonic Adventure 2 and going forward. So as I said at the beginning of the video, Shadow the Hedgehog dying at the end of SA2 makes a whole lot of sense from a narrative perspective. It really wraps up the character's story very nicely, and honestly, he didn't need any more going forward after that. If Shadow was going to die there, he didn't need any extra character development. That's kind of the max he really needed at that point. And Shadow dying there also rids of the opportunity of him becoming worse as a character as the series goes on. As we've seen with Shadow the Hedgehog in recent years at the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, a lot of us are in agreement that he really isn't written in the best way possible. There's a lot of claims out there that Shadow the Hedgehog has turned into a character who's kind of odd. He's only focused on outdoing Sonic, and the way he expresses himself in just his vernacular in general, it's just not really Shadow the Hedgehog. It's more, I don't know, Vegeta. And as a Dragon Ball fan, I do love Vegeta, and I think that really works well for his character, but Shadow and Vegeta really aren't supposed to be that similar. I think the most similarity that the two of them are supposed to have to their other counterpart being Goku or Sonic is just the fact that they're supposed to be that other counterpart to the main character. You see, Goku and Vegeta are both Saiyans, and Vegeta had a more villainous side to him in the beginning. And same thing goes for Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic. Those two are both hedgehogs, and Shadow also contained a villainous side to him. The two of them eventually changed their morals, but that really is as far as the character comparison should go. However, we've reached a point where Shadow's most defining trait in the Sonic the Hedgehog series is his pride and arrogance, and he believes that he's supposed to best Sonic in every activity. If Shadow the Hedgehog had remained dead, this wouldn't be an issue. We wouldn't have this kind of portrayal for Shadow the Hedgehog going around, and he likely would not be as popular as he currently is as a result. I mean, the only reason he appeared again in Sonic Heroes and got his own spin-off game is because of his popularity. People loved this character so much, and eventually it led him to become the second most popular character in the entire franchise. But this kind of popularity also comes with a lot of problems as well, as Shadow the Hedgehog has just been shoved into different scenarios where he really doesn't have to be there in the first place, or if he is there, his impact really isn't felt all that much. You see, I feel like the biggest problem with using Shadow the Hedgehog as a character in Sonic games is the fact that even though he's an anti-hero, most of the time he's a good guy. So he'll be working alongside Sonic the Hedgehog, and if the two of them work together in anything, it's nearly impossible for them to lose. This is the main reason I feel like he was written out so quickly out of the Zombot storyline for the IDW comics. You see, because the only way to not become fully infected was to basically just outrun it, and that's what Sonic did. And Shadow and Sonic, as far as we know, their speeds are very much comparable. And since Shadow is able to match Sonic's speed, he can also avoid becoming fully infected as well. So the two of them could have easily overcome this virus and saved everyone in the process. And it probably would have taken a lot less time than Sonic just doing it on his own. But But instead, they chose to write Shadow in such a way that made him basically insufferable in my opinion. And I feel like you would have avoided this if Shadow had stayed dead in the very beginning, as I said earlier. The most compelling argument of Shadow the Hedgehog staying dead after the events of Sonic Adventure 2, aside from it making sense from a narrative perspective, is the fact that he will not get tainted as a character going forward. He can remain the character that we all really care about and thought was very well written. But again, folks, there are two sides to this coin. What about the side that defends Shadow the Hedgehog actually remaining alive after the events of Sonic Adventure 2, where Shadow actually didn't die but was saved by Dr. Eggman after the events of SA2? If Shadow the Hedgehog stays alive, we have the Shadow we currently have now, where he may not be getting the best treatment in terms of writing, but he still is a very prominent character in this franchise. But that aside, if Shadow stayed dead, then we would have never got to see this character at its peak. Shadow the Hedgehog truly peaked in the game Sonic the Hedgehog. In that game, he was the best written version of this character, and that's because of the ample time spent of developing and growing as a character. And we get to see this character consistently mature as the games go on, like in Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, and then when it finally peaked here in Sonic 06. The character progression we had from Shadow the Hedgehog, it made him one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite in the entire franchise. If Shadow the Hedgehog had died at the end of SA2, we would have never got this. But by that same token, as I said earlier, he didn't need to live because his character development could have already been finished by the end of SA2 if that's what they wanted to do with it. But having his character development go on consistently after the events of Sonic Adventure 2 made him a better character in my opinion. Of course, there were some misfires here and there, but ultimately Shadow the Hedgehog was a great character, and I'd argue that Shadow the Hedgehog grew into a much better character by the end of Sonic 06 than he was at the end of SA2. In the end, Shadow the Hedgehog staying alive at the end of SA2 means that we basically get what we have now. Shadow continues to be a very popular character, although not being the best written in the entire franchise, and hopefully he can get back to those roots, but who can say? But anyway, now it's time for my final thoughts. Should Shadow the Hedgehog have stayed dead at the end of Sonic Adventure 2? And in my opinion, no, he shouldn't have. Now, I do believe there's no right or wrong answer to this question because it really just comes down to, do you believe this character can get back to what he used to be? Or do you think that from a narrative perspective, it just made more sense if he died earlier on? And in my opinion, I think it did make a lot of sense with him dying, but I love this character way too much to see him die. But putting aside the adoration I have for this character, I do believe that he can get back to the way he used to be, although it's probably going to take a lot of work. Now, we already know that Shadow the Hedgehog isn't going to be in Frontiers, and I think that's actually a really good thing. You see, if Shadow the Hedgehog was actually in this game, it would kind of take off the attention of what's going on here with Sonic the Hedgehog and his friends. You see, having Sonic and Shadow in the same game really makes it kind of hard because if Shadow's not a bad guy, then he's going to be working alongside Sonic, and as I said earlier, the two of them together are basically unstoppable. They don't need to fight against some sort of huge threat like they did in Sonic 06 or in Sonic Forces where the entire world was almost conquered. So with that in mind, having Shadow in every single Sonic game is not a good idea, and he shouldn't be there if there's no reason for him to be there. I mean, I think in games like Sonic Forces it made sense for him to be there, but the only issue was his impact really wasn't felt. It felt like the entire world was in shambles unless Sonic and the custom hero stepped up and actually did something. But with Shadow there, it should have been kind of a close battle, and that's another big issue. I feel like if Shadow's going to be in the story, you can't make him weaker than Sonic just for the sake of the story. He has to be the exact same Shadow as he is in every game. He can't just be weaker because the story doesn't work if he isn't. Because at that point, I just say don't use him because that's not even Shadow anymore. In the end, the way to utilize Shadow is actually very simple. Put him in games where the plot actually calls for him instead of just shoving him in anything. And also, I'd even say that Shadow can get a spin-off game here and there because he is a very popular character and I think his games would sell very well. But anyway, now I want to hear from you. Do you think that Shadow the Hedgehog should have stayed dead at the end of Sonic Adventure 2? I want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section down below, so let me know. And also, while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video if you enjoyed it. Anyway, now's a great time to shout out my legendary channel members. Thank you all so very much for supporting me and my channel and creating the best possible content that I can create. Videos like these and many more would not be possible without you. I praise the Lord for y'all every single day. If you want to become a member of my channel, there'll be a link in the description down below. But if you want to support through other means, I have a merch store, and you guys can get all sorts of SONICSTA swag, whether it be hoodies, hats, t-shirts, you name it, we got it. The link will be in the description for that as well. But anyway, y'all, thank you so much for watching. This is Sonic signing out. Have a super blessed day.
Why are you playing that trash?